And so, this is Christmas, written and narrated by Ann Parker Burgess. While we celebrate Christmas, so many of us forget the military families separated from one another this time of year. At home, families struggle to keep their smiles and surround themselves with memories of the loved ones abroad. The brave men and women, stationed so far away from home, face difficulties most of us will never face. They find themselves surrounded by strange customs and people and in dangerous situations. I dedicate this story to our brave men and women in uniform who can't be at home at Christmas and the families who miss them. The tree's green branches wore decorations in shades of red. The white lights resembled twinkling stars in the sky. An angel at the top gazed down with a smile. Yet something was missing. He wasn't home. She sat in the dark on the couch, sipping a cup of herbal tea and nibbling on a snickerdoodle as she watched the lights twinkle in a synchronized pattern. Her infant daughter and 4-year-old son were asleep in the next room. She was missing him. "I'll close my eyes and have you here," she said, and fantasized he was sitting behind her. She almost felt his arms slip around her and pull her into his embrace. Almost wasn't good enough, and a tear ran down her cheek. They say people are strange when you're a stranger. This couldn't be more true when you serve your country far away from home. Christmas was the most difficult time of the year. You try to keep a stiff upper lip and keep your comrades cheerful, but the task was hard. A unit of Marines had been placed in a small Iraqi town. It was difficult to know who to trust among the people. They had made some friendships as they grew accustomed to one another. Iraqis surrounding the Marines' post were friendly and curious at first about the Americans' strange customs. Soon the Marines were accepted and their customs ignored until the Americans introduced them to Christmas. As the men tried their best to celebrate, the villagers' interest grew. Some joined in the celebration of Christmas and brought food and gifts to the Marines. A few of the men tried to share the gospel, while others shared the cookies they received from home with the children. They missed their families more this time of year. Being with the kids brought a needed joy. Who couldn't smile when a child looks at you as he begs for another cookie? A group of Marines had gathered scrap metal and green shrubbery to make a Christmas tree. They propped it in the corner of the old blown-out factory, serving as their base and headquarters. They placed a few Christmas presents from home around it, but it did little to bring any real cheer. The old steel and concrete structure the Marines occupied kept the strong scent of diesel fuel, dirt, and perspiration. As memories of home filled his thoughts, he wished he could smell pine and cinnamon. The weather in Iraq in December was more like a spring day back home. During the day, temperatures averaged around 70 and dipped to the low 40s at night. They had reached an agreement for a ceasefire. Fighting had died down in the area. Patrols sent out would come back with nothing to report. Christmas would be quiet. Christmas morning, the men gathered for a service, ate rations and food brought to them by the friendlies. Afterwards, they opened their gifts, letters, and cards from home. He was sitting with 2 of his buddies, sharing moonshine one of them had made, and cookies from home. One Marine remarked how good his wife's snickerdoodles were. "Better than my mom's. Don't tell her I said that." "What did your family do at Christmas?" he asked. The buddy replied, "My mom goes nuts. She decorates every room, including the bathrooms. If you use the Christmas towels," he continued with a laugh, "oh man, I'd rather be caught in the crosshairs of a sniper's rifle." "Mine does the same," answered the other. "She places the Christmas tree in the dining room and living room windows, and another in the family room at the back of the house." He gave a sigh. "Ever lie under the Christmas tree and look up at the lights?" "Yeah," voices united around him as others came to sit. "I miss the snow," said one Marine. "I miss the cold," said another. "Never thought I'd miss being cold." "I'm from Florida. We rarely get snow." "Wouldn't mind it, though," said another. "Yep, nothing like waking up Christmas morning with a new bike under the tree," he said and snorted, "and 6 inches of snow on the ground." They all chuckled, but the laughs were laced with sorrow. "First snow I see again, I'm going to be like a kid," he said. what I wouldn't give for a snow fort and a good old-fashioned snowball fight. He pulled a photo out of his pocket and gazed at it. Family? The man closest to him asked. Yeah, he replied, and showed him the picture. My wife sent it with the last package I received. The baby's a little girl. She's never seen me. Can't wait to hold her. The little boy looks like you. They heard laughter of children outside. Several boys had started a soccer game. Think we should go out and have a little fun with the kids? It was getting late. She glanced over at the plate of cookies and a cup of milk her little boy left for Santa. His daddy had been home to eat them last year. She picked up another cookie and took a bite. She was glad she had baked her husband's favorite, snickerdoodles. The sweet cinnamon and sugar flavor washed over her tongue and sparked the memory of the first Christmas she had shared the recipe with him. They had baked them together on Christmas Eve. He had never tasted snickerdoodles before, and it became a tradition to bake them together every Christmas when he was home. She thought of his smile and his laugh. The warmth of love grew inside her heart. For you, baby, she said aloud and took another bite. Love you. Love you more, she heard his voice echo in her thoughts. She finished the cookie and drank the milk. From the pocket of her robe, she pulled out the note he had sent in the mail. It was a note from Santa from their son. It was also a reminder to her that he was home in spirit. To Brandon, thank you for the snickerdoodles. I love snickerdoodles. Your mommy is a good cook. You were a good boy this year, Brandon. Santa is proud of you. Merry Christmas. P.S. Give Mommy a big hug and kiss. They had a good game going when he noticed a kid standing on the sidelines just staring at them. The boy looked to be around 13. He wore a baseball cap pulled over his face, and his hands were stuffed in the pockets of his dirty blue jeans. He wore a jacket that appeared a little too big. It was fastened up as if the boy were cold. He tapped the shoulders of the Marine closest to him and nodded. What's up with him? They both motioned to the boy, trying to communicate. The boy stood stoically for a moment. His movements were slow as he walked toward them. He saw it. Someone had wired this kid with a bomb. He yelled for everyone to back away and rushed backwards, trying not to stumble and fall. The blast knocked him back a good 20 feet. He felt shrapnel piercing his face and penetrating his clothes. Those closest to the blast got a lot more than shrapnel. It was nearing 2 a.m. She stood for a moment looking at the tree and the toys she had arranged beneath it. Brandon would be one happy little boy when he saw what Santa had brought. She unplugged the tree and paused for a moment to gaze out the window. It was snowing, adding another layer to the 6 inches already on the ground. Her reflection caught her eye, and she realized how sad she appeared. Did others see it? She asked herself as she ran a hand over her cheek. Got to be strong for him, Lord. She closed her eyes and said a silent prayer for her husband and all the others so far away from home. The baby began to cry. It was unusual for her. She rarely woke in the middle of the night anymore. She hurried to quiet her, not wanting her son to wake. The day after Christmas, she stood in the kitchen as she prepared breakfast for her little boy and her daughter. She could hear Brandon playing in the other room with his toys. The small television sitting on the counter behind her was tuned to the local news. She wanted to know what the weather would be like for the day. Her plans were to get the children out for a visit with her sister. At the moment, they were reporting on the world news. Just then, a suicide bomber attacked a unit of Marines and an unexplained feeling rushed over her as she listened to the brief description. 3 children and 2 Marines died in the blast. Others suffered multiple injuries, some critical. She closed her eyes. Oh, God, please don't let it be him. Her hands began to tremble. I don't even know where he is, Lord. Why am I so afraid? Because I don't know, Lord. And every time something like this happens, I fall apart and run to you. 1 year later, on Christmas Eve, she is resting on the couch, gazing at her tree. A plate of snickerdoodles sits on the table beside her, with 2 glasses of milk. She reached for a cookie, and her hand touched his. She leaned into him and welcomed his embrace. "Love you," she whispered. "Love you more." The end. My story may have a happy ending, but the reality is not always so for our veterans. Many come home wounded, with not only physical scars that show, but scarred memories much harder to overcome. Please, this Christmas, give to one of the charities established to help our veterans, and let's not forget all those in uniform serving our country. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please click the like and subscribe buttons. Feel free to enter a comment below. You'll find links to our website and other content in the description. Again, thank you and Merry Christmas from Word Whisperers.